Have you tried training methods that just didn't work? Do you feel that your pet is not getting his or her nutritional needs met? Are illnesses and bad behavior your daily norm? You're going to want to join me on the Pet Parenting Reset, where you'll hear interesting and informative interviews and get solutions to all your pet problems. I'm your host, Jessica L. Fisher. Well, welcome back, pet parents. Thank you so much for joining us. I have a super incredible treat for y'all. Pam Roussell is here with us from Purrrfectly Holistic. And y'all know we've been talking the past few weeks about holistic modalities and how to incorporate holistic healthcare into your pet's healthcare routine. And Pam recently was kind enough to come join me for a live video. You may have seen it up on either her channel or my channel, where we talked about finding an integrative veterinarian. And Pam, she actually she has her, of course, a website, Purrrfectly Holistic, Purrrfectlyholistic.com, and she helps cats primarily. So Pam, I wanted to have you on to tell everybody a little bit about what it is you do and how you help pets, because it is all holistic, everything you do.
Mm-hmm. It is. So I would call myself a holistic health coach for cats and cat parents. And I'm a muscle tester. So I work with energy medicine. I do muscle testing or energy testing. And I use that as like a main tool to assess a cat and ask their body, identify stressors and imbalances in the body, sensitivities, emotional things like that. And then I also use the muscle testing to address whatever's going on, so I can figure out what products you need, what supplements, what homeopathy or herbal medicines, what energy work, whatever it is that might help bring that body back into balance, with specific, product recommendations and protocols to follow, so that they're just not left with, okay, I've got all this information, but I don't know what to do with it. So I kind of walk them through the process of, okay, now we know what's going on. Now let's take steps, methodical, practical steps to get, your cat in the right direction. Sometimes, healing takes a while. So I just tell people, you got to be patient. If your cat has had an underlying health condition for months or years, it's not going to turn around in 1 week. We just have to keep reminding ourselves, just the same as with people, if we're dealing with chronic issues, don't expect, one supplement to change your life in 2 days. It just doesn't work like that. But if you give the body the right tools that it needs, it can heal itself. But you just have to be very methodical, and you have to figure out what those right tools are. And that's where muscle testing for me has just been a life changer. And it's just made a huge difference with clients.
It really is. Yeah, it really is a huge, just on a personal note, on my own personal health journey, I spent a long period of my life very much in the pharma camp, give me a pill, get it done, and I'm good, right? And that I learned, I think I'm fortunate that I learned fairly early on in my life that is inappropriate. And not everybody is fortunate enough to have even learned that yet, much less early on in their lives. And so even once I found more holistic modalities and realized that there's a whole other world out there, outside of just, doctors treating symptoms and, big pharma providing us a pill for every ill, right?
It's true.
I still spent years in doctor's offices saying, getting blood work done and what is going on, because they're not working. They can't find any reason for what's going on. Everything looks good, but still my body is not functioning the way I know it's supposed to be functioning, because everybody else's body is functioning that way, right? And so after spending many years in many doctor's offices, having so much blood work done, I literally went in and had a lady one day, because, you just go in and they jab you and pull all the blood. And she said to me, and I am mortified of needles. Like, oh, if
Yeah.
I can't even watch a needle on
Oh,
TV.
mm-mm.
No.
No.
And,
No.
and I
Right
went
there,
in,
I run out of the room. I'm like, oh no, no,
right.
no. Can't
Yes,
do
that's
it.
exactly how I am. I will do
Mm.
anything to avoid a needle. And this one nurse said to me, I came in and she looked at the paperwork and she was like, "Does your doctor want you to leave with any blood?" And I didn't process that at first. And I'm like thinking, like, am I supposed to take a blood sample to my, that's where my mind went. And
Yeah.
she laughed and she was like, "No, we're taking so much blood from you today." Like, I don't know if you're going to be
Like,
okay when
are
you
you
leave.
gonna have enough to go home with?
Right. But and even after all of that, still, we don't know why your body's not functioning the way it's supposed to. So I started seeing a holistic health practitioner, probably around 6 or 7 months ago, and it is a slow process. But I like the first time I got on the table and she muscle tested me, I cried. And I don't, not because it hurt or she said anything wrong, but it was like my body felt like, oh my gosh, somebody's actually listening to me.
It's
And
incredible.
it really, really was. And of course there's still a lot of skeptics out there, but just that alone, like that experience alone, my body is telling me this is the right path for you right now.
Yeah.
And it really is absolutely incredible.
It really is. And if people have never experienced muscle testing on themselves, like some chiropractors do that. And of course, a lot of naturopaths and natural health practitioners know how to do that, or they'll use some sort of a bioresonance machine, which is really cool too. Just it's incredible the information it can pull from the body that's so accurate. And even if you bring in like your blood work, it correlates so well with what your blood work would say, what they find.
Mhm.
It's beautiful when it can work together like that. But you're right, it is pretty incredible to be able to finally have a tool that would help you find the right tools that your body needs to get back into balance and to identify the things that are stressors or causing imbalance so that we know what to stop doing and what to start doing, that's different. Because a lot
Mhm.
of times we're our own worst enemy. We get in our own way because we think we need to take XYZ just because we think we need to take that. But when we find out that that's really not doing any good, or perhaps it's impeding a healing process somewhere, but we just don't know. So that's why I find the energy work so incredible and so helpful.
It is, and the reason that I brought up my experience is because our pets can't tell us. We don't speak the same language. So if you have an experience like that for yourself, then
Yeah.
you can see like just how powerful it can be to help your pets as well, because they can't vocalize to us that, oh my gosh, thank you. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I actually found muscle testing because of a friend of mine was going to a naturopath clinic. And she mentioned to me one time, she goes, "Oh, yeah, I was there and I saw this lady bring her cat in." And I'm like, "Cat?" She takes her cat there? And so it always stuck back in the back of my mind. And when one of my cats was having what appeared to be food sensitivities, and after going to, the veterinary dermatologist for a lot of money and getting zero answers, I remember that. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take her to the naturopath clinic and see what they can do. And I was blown away because I had never seen muscle testing before then. But to see them identify which proteins or which foods that she was sensitive to and doing energy work to clear that sensitivity, and to this, and for years going forward, she never had another allergy outbreak again, or she had the chin acne,
Mhm.
um, because of the food stuff, and she never had that problem again. It's like, Bingo.
Amazing.
Now I know where I'm going to go for answers, because that was the shortcut. Instead of, so many times we go the long route trying to find all these other answers, and we could just use muscle testing and figure out, let's get straight to the problem instead of putting band-aids on all the symptoms, which is
Right.
what we were all trained to do. That's, how I grew up, you know.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's still what we're taught today. I mean, I know it hasn't been that long since I graduated college, and we're taught how to conduct. I graduated with a degree in psychology, but we still are taught, how to conduct studies and
Mm-hmm.
all the statistics and all the things, and that's still, it's just a process of elimination, and that can be great for sure. But if we can bypass all of that, if we can bypass the time it takes to get there, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't have the time, right? Like some animals, it's like it's now or never, it's a last ditch effort. And that's generally how people find holistic modalities to begin with.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I can't tell you how many people get to me. By the time they get to me, I am their last hope.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people call me or reach out to me that said, my vet told me there's nothing more they can do. They don't know of anything else. They can't figure it out, whatever. And I don't know where else to go. And I'm like, well, you're not here by accident. You found me for a reason. And I truly, truly believe that. And it's so heartwarming, and it just reinforces my purpose when I see those same pets turn a corner and get back on a health track that their vets can't even figure it out. It's like, oh my gosh, what an honor and a blessing to be able to be on this path with them and see the transformation. I mean, you can't even put that into words sometimes.
Yeah, and that's important too, that we're not saying don't see a veterinarian, right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I especially lately am just like hitting home this idea of having a medical team for your pets. You don't see one doctor your entire life. So why
Hmm.
would your pets? So, Pam, I know on your website you of course offer your services, which are
Hmm.
incredible, and I highly recommend anybody that needs them seek them out. But I mean, and you are kind of like a one woman powerhouse over there, but you also offer other services on your website,
I
correct?
do. I do.
You
I
have other
do.
people who can
I
help.
have incredible ladies on our team that have joined our team. I've got 3 animal communicators. One specializes in lost pets, which is a very unique gift.
Yeah.
Um, and then I have a gal who does Reiki, and she does that for both pets and pet parents. And it's all remote, which is amazing. And then I also have a gal, one of my animal communicators does Akashic records. So she taps into the Akashic records for pets. And then my Reiki gal also does Akashic records for people. And she does past life healing and angel readings as well. So it's kind of a conglomerate of the woo woo world, which I love,
Me
and
too.
just really trying to bring home that spiritual concept and the spirituality to a holistic approach to our health, because it's not just physical. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And so tying in the spiritual with the emotional and the physical all in one, you can get incredible results. um, I have a client whose cat tends to get really, really upset when she goes out of town, even though dad is still home. But to the point of pica, like eating stuff he's not supposed to
Oh
eat. He
man.
gets really, really, really obsessed and all that, and just really I guess emotionally goes into a really bad state, so that he feels like he has to eat something that's not food related to get that brain connection to be soothed. It's that opioid receptor site in our brain, um, that drives that compulsion to have to eat something to get that soothing effect. And so I mentioned to her the other day, I said, you know, I wonder if I wonder if there was something in a past life that you guys shared where something happened to you or something to him when you were apart. And that may be why he gets so concerned and freaked out when you're not with him now. And so she's gonna do I don't remember. I know it was a past life healing. She's gonna do a past life healing to see if she can identify something because Lori is amazing, so she'll find it. Just,
Yeah.
it's just another tool that we have to plug in to get some answers to behaviors and health issues, things that we bring forward maybe generationally that we're not even aware of, genetics, behaviors, emotional baggage, things like that. It's just really, really interesting. And I'm really, really blessed to have these ladies. They're so talented.
It is so interesting. And to our listeners, if y'all remember back in October when I had Layla Morgan Wild on the podcast, I gave y'all a glimpse into what I had been dealing with my cat Romeo. And Pam, you're familiar with him.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I've had you work with Romeo in the past. And
Little Napoleon.
he for sure is. And that is one thing that she mentioned that I have been contemplating is a past life healing for him. And of course, I'm just over here constantly weighing the risk reward. I'm a Libra, right? So I'm just constantly like looking for that balance and weighing things out to the point where I have a hard time making decisions. But on one hand, I feel like I know that he doesn't like his energy bubble messed with. So he's doing really well right now. So I feel like I don't know if I want to disrupt that. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't want him to have to live through this again in another life. So should I go ahead and help him with this, past life healing? So like, that's where I'm at in the moment with him, because I think she told me, she mentioned to me that something happened to him in a past life, and if he doesn't resolve this, he's just going to keep living this, life after life.
Yeah.
And so
okay, well, when you're ready, let us know.
I know like I said, I've got that in the air right now. Like he's doing pretty well, in regards to the behavior, right? Like
right.
So do I want to mess with that? I don't know. I don't know. But so that is one thing. It is incredibly interesting to me how much, if you just open your mind a little bit, like just a little bit, to let ideas in that you never would have considered previously, you can get you can get even the smallest result from something, and it takes you down this path where you're like, there's this whole world out there that most people have no idea even exists. And you mentioned the opioid receptors. I had no intention of bringing this up, but you mentioned that opioid receptors in the brain, and we just finished watching Dope Sick on Hulu. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but oh my gosh, it's probably some of Michael Keaton's best work. And by the way, I have to throw this in because my husband, he argues with me on this. He's not even a movie buff, but for me, Michael Keaton is the best Batman ever. Best Batman ever. And my husband thinks he's the worst Batman ever. But anyway, just so that's on the record for the world that Michael Keaton is the best Batman. Anyway, it's possibly some of his best work, and it's all about Purdue Pharma and the opioid crisis in America, and how, like, what happened. Now, I'm sure there's, they take some liberties with creating a show, but it's a series. I think it's a 9-episode series. And oh my goodness, like, if you first of all, if you didn't know anything about the opioid crisis, this is really going to enlighten you. And also just like how misplaced our trust is in big pharma to begin with. Holy moly.
I
Like,
couldn't agree more.
wow.
Yeah.
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 So I would highly recommend that to anybody who's like, if you're listening to this and you're a diehard, like, I'm going to take my pills every day and, get through this, like, boy, if that is one thing you could watch to open your eyes to, these people do not care about your health. Like,
No,
there you go.
I have to concur with that, because when I first got into holistic healing, I had a foot injury that would not heal. And I was in a boot. I was going to a podiatrist for 3+ months. Now, I had actually gone to him I dealt with this issue for about, oh gosh, more than 6 to 8 months. And then I was in a boot for 3 months. And then I realized that, you know what? I feel like I'm hitting my head against a wall and expecting a different result. And so I've got to do something differently. And I was on a vacation in Vancouver, beautiful city. And we were driving through Chinatown, and there's like a market, and they have all these signs, and it's kind of half written in Chinese and half written in English. And I just had an epiphany moment where I thought, you know what? When I get back home, I need to find a Chinese doctor. I don't know where that came from, but it was just like this mind blowing, like, what am I doing? This isn't working. And my intuition told me if Chinese medicine didn't work, they wouldn't still be doing it for thousands and thousands of years and having success. And I had never looked at Chinese medicine or even studied Chinese medicine. So when I got home, this was back in the this was like early 2000s. The internet was, kind of not super new, but, probably back in the dial-up days, if I remember correctly, and just kind of picked somebody out that just kind of popped up in my search or whatever. And I called one, they didn't answer. So I called the next one, and that's the lady I went to. She does acupuncture, and I am needle phobic like you. And I drugged my husband at the time, and I said, you're coming with me because you know how I feel about needles.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sweating like crazy and nervous. And she was the kindest, smartest. She was a real MD from China who moved to the States like 10 years prior. So she had a real thick accent. It was kind of hard for me to understand her.
Mm-hmm.
But she healed me in 8 weeks. Start to finish. 8 weeks with a combination of herbal medicine and like wraps, the stuff to put on my foot for a little bit, with just regular acupuncture for 8 weeks. And I was 100%. Blew my mind. And that whole experience was like a major wake-up call. And I said, what else don't I know?
Mm-hmm.
That was the Pandora's box,
Mm-hmm.
that you have a mind shift, like, okay, this isn't working. What else is there? You try something as profound as traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, whatever, as a gateway to open your curiosity to explore other things. And it is, I almost felt, I remember at the time I felt like my own industry, which was the fitness industry, but in health, had let me down, because I'm like, why didn't I know about this? I was never taught anything, and I'm in the health industry. So it was a real eye-opening experience. And then I started reading, and just learning how the whole pharmaceutical industrial complex really works. And it's not about your health. It's about the money. Follow the money. Just be kind of, that's a kind of a mantra you can just trust. Follow the money. See whose pockets it goes into. It's not about your health. I think we've seen that in the last couple of years. It's not about your health. So, I just think it's a wake up. It's an opportunity to wake up and go, you just have to, like you said, you have to be open-minded. You have to have an open heart and just come at it from an observer. Just, okay, I want to learn something. How does this work? How does it benefit? What can it do for me? And try it. I mean, what have you got to lose? You know?
Right. Yeah. I
You've
mean,
got to
and
lose.
that's one of the really great things about a lot of the holistic modalities is that even if it isn't exactly what you or your body needs, it's not going to harm you either.
Right.
Whereas it's completely the opposite with the pharmaceutical industry, where if it's not what you need, it can definitely harm you. In fact,
Yeah.
even if it is what you need, it can definitely harm you.
Right. Yeah, it does have some side effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's how I look at it too. It's like it's not gonna hurt me.
No.
And I'll just know, like, first of all, I'll know what this is all about. I'll have that much more knowledge, which then I
Mhm.
can then pass on to other people, right? Because
Sure.
what's the good in having any knowledge if we can't help spread it and help other people? And then, it's not going to hurt me. And then I can then move on to something else, and it can open my eyes to something else that's out there.
Right.
So that's a really, really great point. Um, yeah. So I'm so glad that you agreed to come on the podcast and let people know about what it is that you do, because I know I've seen firsthand what it can do for not just me, but what you've done with some of my
Mhm.
pets, and it's really wonderful. It's things that, if honestly I were paying more attention to my own intuition, and not everybody can do this, but some of us can get to a place in our lives. We all are born with intuition, right? If you have that feeling in your gut,
Mhm.
that's what, like, I just read a meme the other day, is like your heart lies to you and your brain can get confused, but your gut is always like spot on. And I know that's not exactly what the meme said, but basically like
Yeah.
your gut is always telling you the truth.
Mhm.
um, and pay attention to your gut. And if you are that kind of person that you do pay attention to your gut, then you already are, like, you're halfway there.
Yes.
Right?
Tapping into that intuition inside of us that we, like you said, we all have. We
Mhm,
just have to, it's like a muscle, you have to train it.
mhm.
So the more you use it, the stronger it gets. And then you can you can start to really rely on that because it's leading you in the right path, if
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
It does, and it's also really empowering. I know we were talking about that, the other night when we were talking about integrative vet care and just finding vets in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's really empowering to be able to trust yourself because you have done the research and you do have knowledge. You have that, whether it's something you read and something you've researched online or experiences that you can pull from, you have that wisdom to pull from, and it's really, it's empowering. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the biggest things that I have gotten in my life from seeking out holistic modalities is just all of the knowledge I have gained has also helped me, like, build my confidence, because I've always had very low self-confidence up until the last, like, 6 years or so, when I've started learning and I've started researching and I've started to be able to trust myself more.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very empowering thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Because the establishment wants us to put our faith and trust in something else, not in ourselves and not in what we know intuitively. So we have to be willing to step out of that comfort zone. I think it's a comfort zone for a lot of people because it is the unknown,
yeah.
and even if you make a mistake and you try something that didn't work, don't write it off completely. Maybe it just didn't work because it wasn't the right time. Maybe it wasn't the right modality for whatever it is but try it again down the road for something else, or, we learn from our mistakes. Hopefully we learn the biggest lessons from the mistakes that we make. So
Mhm.
even if it doesn't work, learn something from it and go, what can I walk away with? You know, Maybe it was just being exposed and learning something else that you had never investigated before or tried before. It may not work this time, but it might be the perfect solution for something else down the road, and you're preparing yourself for it. So I would just say, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Try something that you haven't tried. Follow your gut. Let that really be your guide and tap into that, and just see where it takes you. Because at the end of the day, there's so much there's so many great things that are just waiting for us to tap into and explore and learn and grow and have this amazing life. But we have to be able to step out of our fear and our comfort zone, and really trust that whatever's happening is for our highest good. And we can make the changes, we can get to where we want to be, even if it's just a learning experience for something else. There's always a value to what we go through. So you have to kind of shift perspective too.
Yeah, that is so very true. I completely agree with all of that. And my hope for people is that they can start finding these more holistic modalities, whether it's muscle testing or energy healing or
Mhm.
Reiki, acupuncture, traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
before it's our last ditch effort. Like, that's my hope, is to just put enough out into the world that people have that, they're like, I've heard of something somewhere. What was that? And instead of chasing pills over and over and over again, and chasing, steroid injections and, all of these things, like, instead of chasing all of that for months, sometimes years,
Yeah.
with some of our pets, right? That we can find these more holistic modalities earlier on, for
Mm-hmm.
earlier intervention, because the earlier we can intervene in something, the better chance we have at correcting it, quicker it can be to correct it. Yeah, so that's kind of my hope. My
Well,
hope for the world.
exactly. And being proactive. So once
Mhm.
you learn something, maybe what you're doing isn't really beneficial at all. Taking those steps to do something differently, to be proactive before there is a crisis, before there is a health condition, on whatever level, those are great opportunities, just starting to be proactive in things so that you're not reactionary when there is a crisis. And you've learned about all these modalities and tools. As Ronnie and Karen say on Inside Scoop, we have a big ass toolbox. I like having a big ass toolbox to pull from, so I can try all these different things, and muscle test and figure out what is it that I can use to help this situation, so that we're not left feeling like there's nothing else we can do, because there's always something we can do. There's always more that we can do.
Yeah, I like that term too, reactionary, because it is like, that's how we have been conditioned to live our lives. That's
Mhm.
how we have been conditioned to treat our health, our pets' health, and it's it's a shame, honestly, because it, to me, it's like this. I don't know. It's all this marketing that they have done. They've shoved down our throats for decades, that it has absolutely nothing to do with our best interest, and everything to do with somebody's bottom line. And yeah, we definitely live in a very reactionary world, and that's again why I think, our veterinarians are so burnt out and overutilized. And yeah, it's just it's gotten to a point, I feel like it's gotten to a point where, like, something's got to give, because our veterinarians are overworked. They are expected to be everything for our pets, nutritionists and,
Mhm.
healthcare providers, and they're supposed to be surgeons, and they're supposed to do everything. And yeah, we're at this point where, like, I think a lot of it has to do with personal responsibility. as well, right?
Mhm.
That as a society we've kind of been conditioned to not even like, especially some of the younger generations, and that makes me sound so old, but they are just like nobody has any personal responsibility. I say nobody, but like that's a generalization. There are some, but so many people just don't have any personal responsibility, and it's really taking an effect. I mean, it's yeah, our pets are suffering because of it.
Mhm.
But this conversation has taken a turn. So
It's all good. I think it's part of it.
it is.
It's the overall perspective and why holistic health is so valuable and can be so beneficial to everybody.
Yeah. And if you have a veterinarian who is open to, first of all, just being part of a medical team,
Yeah.
that is to me crucial. Like,
Mhm.
you don't have to agree with everything, that's fine, but be open to the idea that I have I have a multitude of people and different modalities at my like for my pet, so
Mhm.
that we can I can and I'm the head of it, right? Like as my pet's guardian, being my pet's parent, whatever you want to call yourself, owner, like you are the head of their team, so it's your responsibility to no, I mean to learn and to expose yourself to all of these different things so that you have that reference when something does or something starts to happen and you're
Right.
like, "Oh man, like I need to get on this before it gets bad."
Exactly.
It's our responsibility to be the head of their like we are our pet's advocate. Like it, if you don't know who to trust, you have to be able to trust yourself. Well, Pam, please tell everybody where they can find you. And like I said, I know you're taking on so much right now, but I'm sure you have room for some more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now I have two websites. I have the perfectlyholistic.com, which is the blog site. And then I have the store, the e-commerce site, which is shop.perfectlyholistic.com. It does cater to cat, everything cat, from supplements to nutraceuticals to homeopathy, flower essences, furniture, supplies, all that good stuff, as well as services. All of our services are on there. But then we also have a YouTube channel and Facebook and Instagram. I'm on Twitter as well. It's all under Perfectly Holistic. So it's easy to find us. So if people have questions, you can reach out through one of those modalities or even through Pam at perfectlyholistic.com. That's my email address. So happy to be of service and support, for people who are really looking and seeking holistic approaches for their pets, and just an honor to be serving pet parents.
It is. And one more question before I let you go. You just said you do really cater to cats. Can you tell me why that is?
Well, the long story of it, the short story version to the long story is that there was a cat that started it all. So, yeah, Snow Bear was my kitty who inspired me to start Perfectly Holistic when he died suddenly after being revaccinated in order to be boarded. And so he passed away within 7 days of being revaccinated. And it wasn't something I wanted to do, but my hand was forced just for a boarding requirement, which is really, really unfortunate. And yeah, that's a whole nother topic. So it inspired me to start a business, start Perfectly Holistic, and be a resource and teach people what I've learned. Don't do what I did. Learn from my mistakes. Don't make them. I wanted to help educate pet parents how to take a more holistic approach for their pets. And I do work with dogs as far as the muscle testing and the energy work and things like that too. So we take pets in general, but my heart has always been with cats. I feel like maybe I was a cat in a very previous, way long time ago, but I just tend to gravitate toward them and they tend to find me. It's really, really incredible. So I have this burning desire to help cats, and it is a calling, I think. But I've had cats in my life since the day I was born, literally. My parents, I have a picture of myself as a baby in a stocking because it was like I was born December 9th. So it was Christmas season, and they have a picture of me kind of sticking out of a big old stocking on the floor with a white cat next to me. So I was imprinted very, very young with cats, obviously, and they've never left my life. So, and they are just underserved. It's a dog's world, and cats really get left out. And so I just feel like it is my purpose to fill in that gap in the cat realm. So that's what I'm doing. And it's the best job ever.
It is, isn't it?
It
I
is.
love that. And I know I told you I got my start with cats too, and cats are so very special to me that I just can't leave them out. I know that what I'm paid to do is to train dogs, but
Mm-hmm.
I just I can't leave the cats out because I have a very yeah, they're very special to me as well. I was told that my what do I want to call it? Like the goddess that watches over me is Bastet, and so I'm just that just sounds like me. Like I've always been drawn to everything ancient Egypt. Like that's my thing. Like if it were safe to go, I would have been in Egypt by now. I know it's not safe. It's not safe right
Mm-hmm.
now. But like that has always been like, and that's what I associate. Like that is the one thing I associate with Egypt more than anything is cats.
Cats.
That is
They were
always
worshipped as gods, and they never forgot it.
yeah, exactly.
We worship them today.
And Romeo knows that very well too.
Yes, he does.
He reminds me many times a day.
I know. They're so special. I think they're very highly spiritual beings. They
Yeah,
really are. They're incredible. Yeah.
they are. Like to the point where I get scared sometimes when they're like looking off into what I see as nothing. I'm like, Lord, please help me right now.
Like, what are you looking at? Yeah. I have one of my cats, Gunner, he had a litter mate who was a twin, literally. And so we got both kittens when they were about 11 weeks old, and they were bonded twins. And Rocket passed away March 28th last year. And I did a recent animal communication session when I was hiring these ladies. And I don't remember who spoke to him because I did a lot of interviews. And one of the ladies I asked, ask Gunner if he misses his brother. And in the reply, it was so cool. He's like, no, I don't miss him because I see him all the time. He's here all the time. And so it's like he's never gone. So I don't miss him.
Wow.
I know, because they were so bonded, and even Aylin, the baby, was so bonded to him. And when he passed, they grieved for a couple weeks. And I've always just, wondered how are they feeling, how they doing. And so that was just one of the questions I threw out for him. And I was really surprised to get that answer. It's like, oh no, he's here all the time. I see him all the time. Like, well, duh, of course.
Yeah,
It
that's pretty incredible.
is incredible. So yeah, they're just incredible beings.
That's wonderful. Well, everybody, please go check out Purrrfectly Holistic, Purrrfectlyholistic.com. And of course, I'll make sure to post the link in the show notes and below the video and all the wonderful things.
Awesome.
Check her out. And she's on Facebook, she's on YouTube, Instagram. So wherever you are, make sure you are following her. And Yeah, if you need her services, of course. I highly recommend that.
Thank you so much. It's been fun chatting
Highly.
with you again.
You too. Yeah, so with that, everybody, I'm going to say bye. Give some extra love to your dogs and your cats from both me and Pam this week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'll
Yep.
see y'all next week.